It has been described as the best DSLR ever made. Is it really good as they say it to be? Is it worth buying this camera in 2020? Well, let's find out. Hey, what's up YouTube? My name is Vince, a professional photographer and filmmaker. I now own the Nikon D850 for close to 2 years now since I purchased it at around 2019 January, and now it's 1 year and 7 months. So I believe I've owned it long enough for me to give you a honest review about this body and also the best advice in regards to purchasing and owning this camera. So thank you so much for tuning in. Stay with me, I'll show you amazing stuff, and I will also tell you about the things that I dislike. So let's start with the things that I like about this beast. The build quality. It feels professional. It has been built for professionals. It's so amazing, I love it. It has amazing functionalities. I just love the way it has been designed. It feels awesome. It also has a diopter for adjusting and making sure your focus is sharp and crisp. It also has touch screen and live view. I love the build quality of this beast of a camera. It's weather sealed for dust, rain, sun. The weather sealed capabilities allows me to shoot in very harsh conditions where there's too much rainfall or dust. It performs very well even in those tough and hard conditions. It's versatile, the ergonomics are awesome, the buttons feel professional. Basically it does everything that I tell it to do. I love the functionality, the professionalism that Nikon took to create such an amazing piece of equipment. I'm able to create portraits in all types of conditions. The image quality that you get from this camera is breathtaking because it shoots up to 45.7 megapixel. Very high quality, though the files are large, but you get a very crisp and sharp image. You'll wonder what you're going to do with it in post-production. It captures a lot of detail in regards to the dynamic range, the color rendition. It is known as the best DSLR ever made. The 45.7 megapixel CMOS sensor allows you to capture images that have high quality, hence you are able to manipulate the image and to edit. It allows you a lot of freedom when it comes to post-production, and that makes it entirely awesome. And even when you're going to print large prints for billboards, for advertisements and many other things, it's amazing. You'll still get the best quality out of this beast of a camera. And another thing that is important for us to point out, you can be able to shoot it at full frame, you can be able to shoot it at DX mode, you can also use a 1:1 frame and a 16:9 frame. It has awesome capabilities for you to frame your shot so that it can fit perfectly on Instagram. When you're shooting for Instagram, you can just set it to 5:4, but beware that the quality will drop a bit, probably a 30 megapixel, but still you'll get a very high res photograph and you'll be able to publish it on Instagram directly without having to crop it or reframe it on the computer. So it saves you a lot of time in regards to publishing content or creating content for Instagram. You have a lot of options when you're using this camera. In regards to quality, the quality is so high. You can even see the detail in the portraits. You'll just love working with such a camera with high quality. When a camera has a bigger sensor, when you shake a little bit, the shake might show in your portrait. So beware to position yourself while taking that portrait. If you're using a slow shutter speed, you can use a tripod so that it can compensate for that tiny shake that might appear inside your portrait. When you have a bigger sensor, it's easier for your images to be blurry. You can miss taking a great portrait because of such blurriness. To me, that's a very minute problem. Normally, I shoot my portraits at a shutter speed between 1/200th and 1/250 in there. So when I'm shooting at that shutter speed, there is no way I'll get blur in my portraits because the shutter is opening and closing very quickly, and I'm able to capture amazing portraits which don't have blur. The other thing I like about this camera is the menu system. It's so easy to navigate. You also have an option of using it on touchscreen mode. It's so responsive, it doesn't drag, it's quick. and you are able to put the correct setting via the menu system. It responds very quickly. At night, it lights up. Another added advantage for you guys, for those who like astrophotography, you're able to see your menu system and your keys very well, so you're able to set the correct settings that you want to set for your portrait. Another setting that I appreciate and like about the Nikon D850 is the 3D tracking system. It allows you to track a subject. You can track a bird that is flying and get amazing portraits of that bird. This is a very good setting for wildlife photographers. They can be able to use that setting to track subjects and take amazing portraits. It also has a very good video feature. It shoots 4K up to 30 frames per second, and it shoots full HD, that is 1080 at 120 frames per second. But one thing that is important for you to note is that when you're shooting at 1080p at 120 frames per second, you'll have a small crop factor. It could be an advantage or a disadvantage depending on your framing and composition. But one thing that is very disturbing about this camera is the autofocus when it comes to video. The autofocus is very crappy because you're using the live view. I once did a trial, a test footage with it in regards to the autofocus, and I noticed that it shifts very weirdly. It can mess your shot. I'll advise you, if you're using this camera to take B-roll shots, make sure you use this video setting at manual mode and set the focus using the focus ring on your lens. That way you won't miss the shot. The autofocus for photography is very perfect. It has been rated, it's very awesome, it has been tested by many people and they have recommended it. I've also tested it. This is the body that I use on a daily basis when I'm shooting. This camera is a dedicated photography camera, but they have added some video features to it, so you can understand when you're going to buy this camera, you're not buying it for video, you're buying it for photography. Now let's talk about the autofocus. I love the autofocus system of this Nikon D850. It's responsive, it's quick, it's accurate, and you're able to freeze shots using the autofocus mode. Personally, I shoot on manual mode, but when it comes to the focus, to save me time when I'm shooting a wedding, I use autofocus mode. When I'm shooting portraits, it depends with the kind of time that I have for that particular project. If I have like 1 hour, I'll opt to use the autofocus because I want to be quick and faster and at the same time effective. But if it's a personal project for my own portfolio with models, I use either setting. I can use manual focus or autofocus depending on how I feel about the scene. So this is a very nice option for you. You can be able to switch between manual and autofocus, and personally the focus system in this camera is amazing. Whether you're using manual focus or autofocus, you'll still get very good results and you'll be able to capitalize on the high quality portraits. When you're shooting with faster glass, like this one is a Nikon 85mm f1.8 G series. This is a very amazing lens for me for portraits. It's my go-to lens. The combination of this lens and this body enables me to shoot amazing portraits because the focus system of this camera is amazing and it allows me to shoot amazing portraits and crispy sharp portraits using that setting, especially the autofocus setting. Another thing I like about this body, it has 2 card slots. The main card slot for the XQD, Sony XQD, and this secondary memory card slot for your backup or anything else that you want to do. When I'm shooting for quality, I write raw files on both cards so that I can be able to maximize on the quality of this camera. When I'm shooting for speed, I write to both cards and I use this main card for raw files and this secondary card for my backups, that is JPEG, and I get amazing results in both files when I go back to my computer for post-production. We call it safe shooting. You're able to shoot and have a backup for that one. In case your main card fails, at least you have a backup. Imagine a scenario whereby you're in a wedding and then you're depending on one card and something terrible happens and you lose all images in that card. What will you do? You can't repeat a wedding. You can't redo a wedding, you can't ask the clients to redo a wedding. So when you have a system that you can be able to use 2 cards, I'll go for this system, the Nikon D850 system. I'm able to take photographs at the same time I'm able to back up so that I don't lose files and lose a very important photograph in the middle of a photo shoot or even later afterwards when I go back to my computer and realize that one card cannot even show images. It has an error. Another thing I like about this camera is the battery. It uses the ENEL15A battery, which is backwards compatible with the Nikon D810. It can last you the whole day. If you're shooting fast-paced subjects, let's say in a sporting event, you'll want to get a vertical grip. Normally this one shoots at 7 frames per second. Once you connect it with the vertical grip, you get like 9 frames per second. So you are able to shoot much faster, and also you'll get a bigger grip that allows you to have a bigger battery. The battery is very good. It lasts the whole day, and I'm able to shoot with it for very long hours. But it depends entirely with with your style of shooting. If you're shooting with live view mode, you'll want to come with an extra battery, because the live view mode consumes a lot of charge in a very short period of time. Like 3 hours, the charge will be over, so you need an extra piece of battery. Another good thing with this camera, it has amazing ports on the side here. It has a mic port, it has a headphone jack, it has a mini HDMI to full HDMI. It also has USB-C, which is very good for tethering, for those guys who use tethering while they're shooting. It has videographers in mind because you have a mic option. Personally, I leave it sealed. I don't use this body for video. If you're a photographer, you'll take this one. If you're a videographer, you'll take something that is much better than this one in regards to video capabilities. Another thing that I like so much about this camera is the time-lapse feature. It shoots up to 8K quality in photography mode and shoots up to 4K quality in video mode. And when it comes to video, you'll get an MOV file. It's compatible with many PCs and Mac computers, and also compatible with the editing software. Many cameras, even the mirrorless type of cameras, they don't have the time-lapse functionality. And it's a very good feature for photographers. You want to shoot a time-lapse here and there once in a while. You can be able to set it at night, sleep, then the camera will wake up by itself. Probably you set it at 4 AM in the morning. It will wake up at 4 AM in the morning and start shooting the time lapse. By the time you're waking up, it will have done its job. The handling is very good also. It feels nice. For me, handling is very important. So it depends with what's your priority when you're getting a camera body. But personally, handling to me is very important. I'd rather take a good camera that I can handle perfectly as opposed to one which is lighter and it feels like a toy. To me, this one feels amazing. It has a perfect size, but for others, they will complain it's heavy. But for me, it's okay. I'm an African man, so I don't worry about weight. It's amazing and I just love working with it. And also, when it comes to the lens lineup, you have amazing professional lenses to choose from. I can attach it with any lens, even the telephoto lenses, without having to bring along extra gear like the adapters. The other feature I like about the Nikon D850, it's an all-round camera. I've used it for portraits, weddings, landscape, and occasionally I use it for my B-roll shots of my video projects for YouTube and other platforms. So now let's talk about the things I hate about this camera. First of all, I hate the SnapBridge Bluetooth to Wi-Fi functionality. It's crappy. I don't like it at all. When you use the SnapBridge and Wi-Fi functionality, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it hangs, sometimes it is a lot of headache. In a scenario whereby you've lost your mem card reader, you can use it now to transfer files to your phone, edit them a little bit with the phone applications, and then send it to your clients or even publish on Instagram. So don't use this camera for Wi-Fi as a dedicated way of you transferring files. You'll spend a lot of time waiting there for the files to finish up transferring. You'll also spend a lot of time trying to figure out how it works best. So I'll advise you to just use the normal old way of transferring files using a mem card reader. Another thing I dislike about this camera is the crop factor that you get when you're shooting video mode at 120 frames per second. That is the 1080p. If I'm shooting on a 50mm focal length like the Nikon 50mm f1.8, I prefer my shot to remain that way. I don't want interferences that happen inside the technology of the camera. The last thing I hate about this camera body is the issues with the autofocus when it comes to video. When you're shooting video, there's no other way you can bypass this because you have to use the live view mode. Anybody who has the Nikon D850, they will tell you that it's not a very good camera for video. Would I recommend you to buy this beast of a camera right now? Well, no. And yes, 70% no and 30% yes. 70% no because the DSLR technology has really advanced. It is safer now to buy a mirrorless system. If you're getting a new Nikon body or you want to advance, maybe you're using a Nikon D5300 or a Nikon D750 and you don't have many lenses that you have invested on, I'll really advise you to switch on to the mirrorless system. Personally, I don't need any other camera right now. This one performs extremely well and it beats many other cameras that are coming up today. If you're getting into photography, I'll advise you to get into photography with the mirrorless lineup. The mirrorless lineup has a feature proof. This one also has feature proof. I don't think Nikon will stop updating it. So you can use it for quite some time and I know I'll be able to use it even for much longer. And 30% yes, I won't invest on a mirrorless system because I've invested heavily on Nikon lenses. I've invested heavily on this camera body. I've used it only close to 2 years now. Thank you so much for watching this review of the Nikon D850. I'm so happy to share this knowledge with you. I can't wait to see you again in the next video. So stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and turn on the notification bell. See you soon.